God. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, God, it was so perfect. Oh, that was a banger right there. I am literally, I just walked out and I am just totally, I am feeling so many things right now. I have so many feelings that I'm dealing with. Oh, my first feeling is that I'm totally and utterly overwhelmed. It feels so good to be back in a theater where we're all clapping and making the oohs and the ahs because we know what things mean and the payoff that they... Oh, it was just, I don't know, man. That was... That right there. Oh, so right off the rip, I just want to say no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you. All I can tell you is that it is perhaps, and I'm going to wait until I get my coffee and I settle down a little bit. It is perhaps the greatest Marvel movie ever made. Perhaps. I don't know if it's 100% or not, but it could be the greatest Marvel movie of all time. Oh, wow. I was screaming at certain points alone. I mean, I'm sitting there by myself, just screaming. Like, wow. I have not been to a movie since since Star Wars Episode 9. It has been almost 2 entire years. It actually has been 2 full years since I've been in the movies. And just the reactions of everybody, the cheers, the sighs, the cries, oh God. That movie, more than anything, reminds me of why the MCU was so important to me in the first place. Man, that was amazing. That was truly and utterly mind-blowingly amazing. Amazing. That was amazing. Wow. I would love to just full spoiler chat with all you guys right now because I just know nobody's seen it, so I know it's not worth it. You won't understand any of it. You'll just be all bullcrap. But I gotta tell you, in the most real live reaction possible, that hit me like a brick wall of emotion. I absolutely adored that movie. It might be my favorite Marvel movie of all time. Will it pass Civil War? I don't know. In retrospect, probably not, because Civil War is where we got introduced to the MCU Spider-Man, which was the biggest reveal, ever. That was the biggest thing to happen to the MCU since the beginning of it. So But wow, wasn't that, I mean, holy God, that was something else. That was something else. That's one that I'm definitely running back to the theater. I'll be running back to the theater to see that. If it hadn't just opened today and I thought that there was tickets, believe me, I would have gone to the next seating of it. Wow, that was amazing. I am shocked. I'm just straight up blown. I mean, I'm just amazed, really, like truly amazed. That was just as good as it gets, man. That is as good as it gets. They don't make them better than that. That's as good as they make them right there. Wow. Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. I will say I totally called it though. One of the if you are a regular watcher of this channel, you will know I made a very bold prediction for Spider-Man, and I was 100% right. Just like I was with Red Skull, I was 100% right. So it's good to know that I still got it in me. I still can feel those Kevin Feige vibes. He and I are very much the same kind of dude. And he proves that to me movie after movie, that he is a true comic book fan. A true fan of these superheroes. And villains. Oh God, we're working up on that curb a little bit. Whoops. That's how it goes. Sometimes these curbs are a little bigger than you expect. Luckily my car is super low to the ground.
Thank you for choosing Starbucks. What can I get started for you today?
Yeah, hi. Could I get a salted caramel? Well, you know what? Actually, I'll do a grande iced shaken espresso with 4 shots of espresso.
You said that was grande. That's the wrong one. That one had 4 shots. Absolutely. Anything else for you?
That's it.
Alrighty, it's gonna get to 521 at the window.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
God, that curb was crazy. It really kind of like out of nowhere too. Terrible lighting over there. I'm sure I'm not the first person to do that. Thank God it wasn't any taller. If it was, we would have been in a pinch. Thank God it wasn't any taller. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Good.
Alrighty, we'll have that ready for you.
Thank you. You don't know if you agree with the Kevin Feige take, really? I don't know, dude. I think he's just like a genius. I'm just gonna pull over up here, make sure I didn't clip my bumper or anything bad. Not that it much matters. That bumper has seen its better day. It needs to eventually get a repaint anyway. Thanks so much.
Not a problem. Have a great night.
You too. You know what's crazy is if you look at all these curbs around here, and there's just black scuff on every curb in this whole entire parking lot. Let's take a look real quick. Looks good. Looking good. Okay. No damage. I just ran over it, right up over it. Right up and over. That's why I come back over this way to see it. What the hell did I hit? Oh my god, I hit that thing right there? Oh yeah. That's a terrible thing right there. That should be lit up. Because it's on the road. Wow. Spidey, man. Yeah, she's fun. Yeah, I worry for the future too. I've been worried for like 5 movies now. I was worried after Endgame. People loved Endgame. I didn't. I was like, uh-oh, we're going down a slippery slope here of like fan service versus like true comic book service. I shouldn't say that. I mean fan service in its good and bad ways. Endgame was not supposed to be a fan service movie. It was supposed to be, I guess it could have had moments, you know, like Cap catching Mjolnir, for example. That could have stayed, but the rest of all the fan service could have gone, you know. All the rest of it, it all could have just kicked rocks. I don't know. Endgame was whatever. It was not my favorite. And Infinity War was like, coming out of Infinity War, I was like, wow, this is something else, you know. This thing is the best. The MCU is the greatest thing ever. Literal comic book panels pulled from that, you know, like panels just drawn onto the screen. This one is different. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil it. I'm just going to tell you it's amazing. Perfect. 11 out of 10. Must see TV. Must see TV. I'm a tough judge too, man. So for me to give a movie like a good, super good score like that, not easy to get for me. That is not easy to get. I don't give those out lightly. Hey, look at Santa driving around in his three-wheeler. Bum 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 bum. So good. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. There was a moment where I just was like, oh. 2. I had two pretty huge WTF moments in that movie, which I don't usually have. About Hawkeye this week, I'll definitely talk spoilers on Hawkeye, because spoilers for Hawkeye are spoilers for Spider-Man. Yeah, just in case you didn't catch it, Spidey and Hawkeye literally went hand in hand this week with a massive, the biggest reveal since Spider-Man. No, there were absolutely no slow parts at all. It was one of the quickest moving movies you've ever seen. I will say that if you're a super critic, you're gonna have there are a couple lines that are delivered in not the probably most amazing way. You know, not like it's not like Laurence Olivier like acting here. But I will say that the people who have to give, you know, most of it is pretty damn good. Most of it is pretty damn good. I would say that, like, if I was gonna rate it, like, cinematography, it gets, like, I don't know, a 9 out of 10 or something. Like, it's fine. It's good. It's plenty good. But it's nothing, like, you know, outrageous. So I gotta mark the engine a little bit here. Got this dump in front of me who has slammed on his brakes 6 times for no reason, and is now just being a total utter chooch. Yeah, it's been a good week for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Lucky I'm even responding to you. Oh, whatever. You're lucky I'm even responding to you. That's more like it. Sarah, she talks to spokesman. You know, she chats with spokesman 3 times in her life. She thinks that everybody's just got to get back to her. You many DMs I get every day? This YouTube channel's become the most intimate place to get at me because there's not as many people watching me close out my 2021 from home. So this is where you can come chat with me, alright? We can chat here anytime you want. Let's go. If we're gonna drive, let's drive. Betsy needed some breath. Well, nobody's gonna go. Okay, I go. The good mom. Boom, 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 boom. I'm also just kidding with you too, by the way. I'm cool. I'm just like not going to the parks, you know? Right now. Although I would tell you this, Sarah, if I was going to the parks, I would come and hang out with you and you could ride and we could ride rides together. If the reason I'm not going on Navi River Journey is not because I gotta wait for it. It's just because I gotta walk over to it, and then if it was just the wait, I wouldn't bother me. It's the crowds, it's the mentality, it's the way people be looking. A lot of staring ass folk nowadays, you know. Or I apparently what I'm more likely to assume is that I just didn't notice it before, but somehow now I do. In my new state of having to be a little bit more self-aware, even more self-aware of my surroundings than I once had to be. My own spidey sense. Peter Tingle. You gotta get the Peter Tingle spidey sense. By the way, I saw the wild boars today on the way to the movies. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon. Wild boars, whole family of them. Little baby boar. Adorable. This thing was like so baby. It was baby boar. It wasn't even the same color as the rest of them. I'd be a wild success in Disneyland. Yeah. I have a feeling that it's not any better over there. And that I'd probably hate native Californians, no offense. But I think I would hate native Californians far more than I hate the tourists down here. Listen, guys, here's a deal. I've spent, of the past, how long have I lived here now? 2 years plus some. We'll call it 700 days, 750 days. I probably spent 500 of those, if not 450, in the park. That's a lot. It's a lot of days. You thought you'd hate Cali, but what'd you say? You thought you'd hate Cali residents too, but they are super chill in the parks. Fewer tourists. Yeah, that's very true. No, I'm not going to do that. That's my home sweet home down here, but in general, I just like, you know what I mean? Just trying to go through the motions. Trust me, I miss some good snacks and some fun rides and like just walking around in general. I miss walking. That's something I miss, you know. I had gotten into really, really, really kind of good shape in general. I felt very good. So, you know, I'm starting to feel a little definitely like, you know, not walking as much, so it'd be good to get back out and walk. I'm not getting younger, so you got to get out there and walk. Well, while I'm still on the everyday streaming adventure, the parks will have to be what they are, Ace. For the last bit of this supplemental. Once the holidays are over, things will be much better too. They won't be like night and day or anything, but it will become a little bit better. I haven't stopped thinking about Spider-Man since I'd left the theater. I'm literally just in a state of like, I was just so utterly entertained. Like Maximus screaming, you know, are you not entertained? I was just so entertained. You've been here for 120 days and you've only spent 10 days in the park. Wow, that's amazing. That puts things into perspective for sure. Yeah, I know you're staying over at the Dolphin. At some point I'll come over and we can go down to Blue Zoo. If you want to split a steak and dessert, we can have a steak and dessert. Tomorrow's a fun Disney day. I gotta get a park pass, don't forget that. Mike and Lisa are down from the north, and they've got plans with DC, Michelle, and myself. I'm kind of tagging along to the adventure tomorrow. The adventure to Batu. We're going to be riding the Millennium Falcon. That's a 5-man squad. Probably go Rise of the Resistance. We're going to Oga's. I think DC and Michelle will probably be streaming, so most of you guys can kind of jump in there. I'm going to do an early stream. That way I can enjoy some time with those guys, because I don't ever get to do that in general, do any time in the park where I don't have a camera. And it'll actually give me a shot tomorrow to get some good iPhone 13 footage that I could maybe put a little reel, at least post some pictures on Instagram, because I have just not been doing anything at all. Like, I just did it for too long or something. I don't know. It's getting like, trust me, it's not that I'm just trying to find like the drive to do it. A little bit of laziness. Combat the laziness. And I don't want to call it laziness by choice of word, just because I'm never like sitting around just stuffing my face with chips or something, like some freaking actual lazy person, you know. Like I get out here and I get it done, you know. I keep this house super nice and clean and make sure I do the streams on the Legos and the trying to game it up, set the new stations up, do the closets. Like I'm always just pop, go, 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 and I feel like I'm never get a chance to sit around. So now that I have that chance to sit around, I want to kind of like just do it. You know? Spider-Man, holy God, that was super good. The best ever, I think it was. You just finished it up, I know, it's amazing. It was absolutely perfect. Just total and utter perfection right there. Maybe instead of red and green, I'll have to switch it up tonight for Spider-Man for the next few days. Beyond perfect, I know. I know. I always come out of movies like that where I'm a super fan and I'm always thinking like, this is what I would have done, and I would have done this, and I would have done that. And I would have done this thing too. Not this one. I came out of this like, whoo, just shocked. You know what I was really shocked at though? That fancy ass movie theater. That movie theater was so fancy that you get food delivered to the chair. Right? QR codes. There's nobody to any, you don't, it's so easy to get in. Like, it's just so easy. Everything's easy. And then I get to the guy up to the chair. He's like, I'm like, oh, the guy's like, Pepsi. I'm like, I love Pepsi. Oh my God, Spider-Man and a Pepsi and some popcorn, man. That cooked me up, man. Let's do this, okay? I'm like, I'm Apple Pay you? He goes, we don't do Apple Pay. I said, bro, my wallet is in my car. I got my box today. Oh, I didn't go through my front door. I'm like, my wallet's in my car because everything in here is all on your phone. And the parking lot is so full, I wouldn't even be able to get there in time. It's just the beauty lies around has. Yeah, buddy. Don't feel so good. Feel so good, it's frightening. Wish I could stop this world from fighting. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Jones. Feels so good. Feels so good. It's frightening. Wish I could stop this world from fighting like. Dude, look at the package job. Woo-wee, this guy is not messing around. This is the nicest packing job I've ever seen in my life. Look at you. Fancy. Sing That's Illinois. This is Illinois. Good reference. I like your reference. It's actually a sword. By definition, it's a hobbit's sword. It's the sword of a hobbit. Oh my God. It smells so good. Oh, You know why it smells good? Because it's super good. Oh my God, dude. Wow. Wow. Oh yeah. That packs a good little, that's a good little sugar rush. Jake likes me because I'm cool. What the hell are you talking about? You don't get it. All the YouTubers and stuff that he wants to be, it's the same person I want to be. So we're like the same dude. So imagine you were a kid and you saw an adult who like was basically watched all the same stuff you did, had the same ambitions as you. But like he also had like his own house that he like, you know, and could eat ice cream for breakfast and drive a fast car and like all the things kids can't do. But like basically like that movie Blank, you know, Big. Oh, that's what it's called. It's like that. No, it's not really. Maybe it is. I might scratch that reference from the record. I like to scratch that reference. Guys, I just want to say, I'm going to keep this like relatively short tonight because I want people to be able to just jump in and be like, oh, Tom like went and saw Spider-Man, and put it right on and watch the replay and just say, oh, look, he had a really good time. Like, I am totally and utterly shocked, you know? It was something that I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I knew certain things were bound to happen. I hoped other things were going to happen. And at the end of the day, I really don't think I could have written, helped produce, storyboard, anything. I don't think I could have done it. I mean, it was super duper good. So, our 12-year-old list that has been on every iPhone that I've ever owned, today will get its third modification of the year. Black Widow fell terribly low. Shang-Chi is sitting right about in the halfway spot. And now it is time to put Spider-Man 3 into this batch of insanity. It has got to be, we got to hash it out in my brain. Civil War's the best. Was this better than Civil War? No. Was this better than Infinity War? It might have been. Was it better than Avengers? Absolutely. So for now, upon further review, it could take over. It could become the second best. But for now, it is going to comfortably take the 3 spot. Comfortably. 100% comfortably take the 3 spot. Avengers, Ultron, Endgame, Iron Man 1, Guardians 2, Iron Man 3, Spider-Man 1, Guardians, Cap 2, Thor 3, Shang-Chi, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Cap 1, Spidey 2, Thor 1, Ant-Man, Iron Man 2, Ant-Man 2, Black Widow, Thor 2, and the Hulk. That's your list. I'll read it back to you from bottom to top. Worst to first. Hulk, Thor 2, The Dark World, Black Widow, Ant-Man 2, blah. Iron Man 2, blah. Ant-Man, meh. Thor 1, meh. Spider-Man 2, meh. Cap 1, good. Black Panther, good. Doctor Strange, good. Captain Marvel, good. Shang-Chi, very good. Thor 3, very good. Cap 2, very good. Guardians, very, very good. Spider-Man, very, 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 no, I'm just kidding. They all kind of, at that point, they're all pretty much the same. But Guardians, Spider-Man 1, Iron Man 3, my personal actual favorite. I don't think it's the best, but it is my favorite. Guardians 2, Iron Man 1, Endgame, Ultron, Avengers, Spidey 3, Infinity War, and Civil War. Just like that. Why is Civil War the best Marvel movie, you might ask yourself? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it has the best comic book adaptation. Civil War is a kick-ass story, and they did a great job bringing that to what was the MCU. Sokovia Accords versus the Superhero Registration Act. Very good movie, okay? It has all the big players in it. Wanda, Vision, Hawkeye. Black Panther gets introduced. Bucky is starting to become a different version of himself. Obviously Zemo, who went on to be very, very good, and the Winter Soldier and the Falcon. It was just a good movie. Iron Man's character was super flushed out at that point. You knew who he was. You knew he was starting to regret things. You knew he was on the fence about certain things. You know what I mean? Cap's character was flushed out at that point. He was just, this is who I am. I'm a good guy. I want good things, to be able to help people, and I want to help them. It was good. You know what I mean? Join Patreon. You'll have to match the name with the nickname. No way. Oh, cool. Thanks, dude. I will. I mean, you're probably... Patreon usually gets like 1 or 2 to maybe 3 people a month if I'm lucky. So I think I'll know pretty much immediately because you'll be the most recent person. I gotta turn this fan off because it is at the point where it's actually starting to freak me out a little bit. Maybe I should just get some WD-40 and just spray it up in there. It's probably fine. Probably. That's the famous last words. That fan's probably fine. It hit this camera and stuff way before it hit me, so it would definitely give that kind of a... Oh no, that would actually knock it all down towards me even more. Man, nothing's really on that could really hurt you that bad. More famous last words, anyway. Cracking myself up. Civil War is the best. Infinity War is good for a lot of those same reasons. I can't tell you why Spidey's good, but you can probably start guessing. Avengers is just the classic. It's the classic meet-up movie. It defined the whole genre of, could we put these people together in the first place? Ultron, although weak on its villain, weak on its characters, and some point Quicksilver, certain things were a little It's still a meet-up movie, and meet-up movies all kind of, they have to kind of be better. Endgame, fantastic, but again, I have my serious gripes with it. Even when I watch it back now, I like drunken Fat Thor, but I also don't. There's a lot of it that kind of gets under my, I don't know how. Endgame for me is such a weird one. But Iron Man 1's the classic, right? It's so perfect. Like, Guardians 2 is hilarious. Superior, in my opinion, to the first Guardians, I think, because I think all the characters are even better versions of themselves than they were in the first one. And I think, having Kurt Russell as Ego is a way better villain than Ronan, So, anyway, and you get I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, which is probably one of my favorite theater moments of all time. Iron Man 3, my personal favorite movie of them all. It's got my favorite shot, individual cinematic shot from a video camera. And that is when Tony Stark is dragging that suit through the snow. It is so beautiful. You're just like, wow. You totally just get reminded of how real everything is. It's a fantasy world, but it's like, even in a fantasy world, your suit dies, and that's your only suit. You're going to be dragging that shit through the snow with you. So I really love Iron Man 3. Spider-Man 1, you got to give it all the credit that it's due. It was a fantastic movie. I mean, come on. Michael Keaton's Vulture. That's when villains in the MCU really started taking a turn for the better. And they all haven't been great since then, but that's when they really started taking a turn for the better in that movie. Guardians 1, come on. It's hilarious. It's perfect. It's so funny. Cap 2, in a lot of people's lists, if you look at critics' lists, if you go to IMDb, Rotten Tomato, Collider, any of these big movie publication places, you're always going to see their publishers' lists or their editors' lists, and it's always going to have Cap 2 at the top. Cap 2 is a banger perfect movie for what it is. It is literally Mission Impossible in the MCU. It's fantastic. It's introduction of Winter Soldier. It hadn't gotten too big where you needed a bunch of characters. It was cool enough that just Cap and Black Widow and Nick Fury were all together. Robert Redford does a good job in the small role that he plays as Alexander Pierce. It's a pretty good movie. I mean, I don't like the premise of the helicarriers. I think they're kind of just like a lame finale. But anyway, it's most people's favorite. For me, it's like barely even gets... I mean, upon review, I mean, I think I might even start, you know... This is a 12-year-old list. I mean, I can watch these through new eyes, and I'm sure a lot of it would fall the same. But I wouldn't be surprised if I put things like Thor 3 and Shang-Chi above Captain America 2 in my own list. Because Shang-Chi was so beautiful. We're not there yet. Thor 3. Amazing. Thor Ragnarok is by far the funniest Marvel movie. It might not throw the most jokes at you, but in turn, pound for pound, it is the funniest Marvel movie. It redefined the character in a way that is going to allow him to not only have been way cooler in all the new Avenger movies, but to be so much better for like his next solo movie. You know what I mean? With like Jane becoming Thor is gonna be great. We are waiting at Tom's spot in MK. Everyone likes what? Everyone's like, what are you waiting for? Where you're at Ariel, you mean? You guys are up at Ariel to watch Enchantment? The thing with that spot is you can walk up there with like 2 minutes. Like you gotta go ride something, go do something, then you can go back. That's probably why they're asking you, because you're there early. Aren't the fireworks at 8:15? Yeah, that spot, nobody's gonna stand there, so you guys can go do whatever you want. Nobody is gonna stand in that spot. So you don't have to hold it at all. That's the best part. That's probably my favorite part about that spot. The music's so awesome and loud too. And having seen Enchantment's castle projections, I think that that's still the superior spot to see that show. Onward we march. Shang-Chi. Where do we get the wristbands? The best place is in Adventureland, Tortuga Tavern, that kind of area. Pirates. That's the best. Tomorrowland is too busy usually. Shang-Chi was beautiful, right? It was probably the prettiest Marvel movie, hands down. I'm looking at this list. Guardians 2 was very vivid. Shot very well, but it also isn't quite as beautiful as Shang-Chi. That Shang-Chi was just so pretty to watch, you know? So pretty to watch. Brought all those Crouching Tiger anime vibes that I'm not obsessed with, but I appreciate. And I don't think anything can replicate those kind of vibes. So I love that. Captain Marvel. What can I say about this movie? It's a disaster. Um, but Carol Danvers is my favorite Avenger by a lot. Like nobody is even close to my favorite. I mean, she's so far away and beyond my favorite Avenger. So for me, it's been hard getting used to this Captain Marvel in the MCU. I want to like her so much more than what I've been shown, and I have hopes that eventually I will. So for my own personal reasons, it kind of just goes up there. I will say, of all the credit that I give to Captain Marvel, and again, this is all just a list. I'm not reading. None of this is notated. I'm just telling you from my pure memory banks of having seen these movies all 20 times. I loved the de-aging technology in Captain Marvel. You know what I mean? With Nick Fury, like, let me switch to my Wi-Fi. Oh, I'm on my Wi-Fi. I think I'm on the Wi-Fi. Maybe I'm not. Am I good? Am I lagging and or black screen now that I did that? I think we're good. All right, cool. Where are we at? The de-aging technology in Captain Marvel was amazing. I loved the character of Goose, the cat, who ended up being a Florgan. That was amazing. I loved the caveat of it scratching Nick Fury's eye out. I thought that was just like better than the whole entire movie. Jude Law was surprisingly terrible in that movie. So because he's a really good actor. Surprisingly terrible in that movie. I don't know if I like Brie Larson. I don't know. I think that she's a badass and she's had good moments. I just have to I just hope for the best. Under that, even though it should probably be above it if I was actually going for just not any personal feelings, it would be Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange slaps. This movie fires on all cylinders from the front, from the minute it starts to the minute it ends. It's just like bam, 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 bam. It's so good. It's also very pretty. The whole Inception thing, mirror dimension, Dormammu. It had some good jokes in it, right? Mr. Doctor. No, Doctor Strange. Yeah, it is. You know, the whole thing was very Dormammu. I've come to bargain is such a meme, so it plays well. I think that even saying all this, I kind of have to change this. I have to. Ugh, breaks my heart to do it though. But Captain Marvel is gonna go underneath Doctor Strange. I've very rarely. I mean, it's happened a handful of times. I've moved these movies around, especially if I start sitting here hashing them out. Black Panther comes next, and Black Panther. Oh, let's stick on Doctor Strange for a second. Benedict Cumberbatch is the perfect Doctor Strange. I love that the internet cast him first, and we got him. That's perfect. I love that. I think that Wong's character is great, supplementary, and has done a great job in things like popping up in Shang-Chi and etc. It's been great. I think I love Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. People were really pissed because they were like, this is whitewashing at its finest, and it really is kind of, because the Ancient One wasn't supposed to be Tilda Swinton, but ultimately she has this otherworldliness to her. She's so outrageously weird that it fits so good. So obviously it was Mads Mikkelsen's super duper awesome. He's a badass guy and he did a great job as Caecilius. So I give the movie, all around it was really great. Black Panther. What can you say about Black Panther? One, it was a literal cultural revolution. It, like Shang-Chi, represents a minority group in comics and in culture, I suppose, right? That is not represented well in these films so far. We had not... The Falcon had been great, and I love Anthony Mackie, but we needed, and God bless him, and it makes me want to cry, especially coming out of Spidey tonight, because it was heavy. Spider-Man was heavy tonight, but Chadwick Boseman was an amazing actor. Sad. It's so sad. Chadwick was so good as Black Panther, as T'Challa, that it allowed... He was so good in that movie, that in Civil War, that you knew that Black Panther was going to be something amazing. And the cast was fantastic. Michael B. Jordan is killer as Killmonger. Anthony Serkis is one of my favorite dudes ever. You know, when you got Gollum playing Ulysses S. Claw, I mean, sign me up, dude. Sign me up. Movie was fantastic. It falls flat for me because it is very CGI dependent. The final boss fight of T'Challa versus Killmonger is about as boring of a fight as you could possibly find in the MCU. Boring. Which is bad. Because when you have a movie that is slapping, and then all of a sudden, at the end, it kind of is like... That's why it falls really low on my list, because I hate that end fight. You can see the CGI in it. I mean, goddamn, there are parts of The Last Jedi in Canto Bight that are so cringeworthy, and they look 100,000 times better than that scene in Black Panther. Cringy. It's cringy bad. Moving on. Captain America 1. This movie it suffers because it's dated, and it doesn't date itself as well as Iron Man 1. That's all I can say about it. If it had come later, it would have been better. It would have had more available to it, the budget, the everything. It's a great movie. It does a perfect job setting up Steve Rogers, who he is. Red Skull is fantastic. Hugo Weaving is fantastic. One of the I love Tom Hiddleston's Loki, but I really don't think that before that anybody had done a better job of being just that pure villain than Hugo Weaving had. He gave us, and don't forget Tommy Lee Jones in that movie. Tommy Lee Jones in that movie is so underrated. I promise you, if you go back and watch it, you'll be like, wow, Tommy Lee Jones is good in this. And, of course, you get Zola. Arnim Zola becomes a main character in a lot of future Marvel stuff after that point. So it's very important that you know him there. So it holds weight in terms of it has lore to it. The Tesseract, it carries on very well. It's a great jumping off point. Spider-Man 2. I just rewatched it today before I went to see Spidey, which was great, by the way. If you are planning on going to see Spider-Man, I cannot recommend enough to watch the second one basically right before you go to the movies, because they pick up like this. It's like the Lord of the Rings. It's like the second Lord of the Rings, where you get Gandalf's after he's falling, but you still see him say, "Fly, you fools." I mean, you have to. I would highly suggest doing that. I didn't know it. Trust me, nobody told me that. I just had a feeling. I was like, I should watch that one because it was, I'm not going to put it any higher than it is here. I'm not tempted to put it any lower either. I feel like I have it perfectly ranked here. This movie is just average. It is slow as hell. This is where the MCU kind of goes from... These next movies are all not good movies. Cap 1 is the last of that, because Cap 1 also has a lot of slowness, and it feels like a movie from from 2000 and something. It feels older than it is. but it does not suffer from the same kind of pacing issues that Spider-Man 2 does. Holy shit. That movie drags on. The best part of Spider-Man 2 is if you had not seen it before. On repeat viewings, it sucks. Because once you know that Mysterio is not who he says he is, the whole movie, that's the only part of the movie that's good, is that reveal. In the first Spider-Man, you know the Vulture's the Vulture from the first 10 minutes, so you know the bad guy. When a movie presents you the bad guy in a twisty way, you get Iron Man 3'd. And the only reason Iron Man 3 for me is such a good movie is because, Jesus Christ, I mean, come on. Robert Downey Jr., anytime he's Tony Stark, it's just so much better than most of these other guys as their character. Only Benedict Cumberbatch really embodies his character the way that Robert Downey Jr. did. Not Tom Holland, I don't want to hear it. And nobody else. Nobody even comes close. R.I.P. to Chadwick, not Chadwick either. Chris Hemsworth is Thor now. Nobody else could be Thor. And I like that. But it's not because of his acting chops. It's because he's a good actor and he's funny and he's a superhuman. The guy's 6'8". He's made out of pure muscle. He's like a specimen. So if he can just be that guy, then, that's not as impressive to me. It is, actually, but it's impressive in a different way. You know what I mean? Like, even in those scenes where you have the physicality of Chris Hemsworth, the Thor playing down on the Tony Stark out of his suit, that's very much so still probably the dynamic of the acting there. Like, I'm such a superior actor to you that, like, I'm going to be able to own you in this situation. Just like a Tony Stark, ultimately, even though Thor's a god, would be able to own him. It's very true to their characters. So I will give all the credit in the world to those guys. Spidey 2 is rough. Thor 1, coming off the Chris Hemsworth vibes. Thor 1 is fantastic, but it's so corny. And it doesn't hold up well because of where we know Thor's going as a character. We know he's going to become so much cooler and more badass, so why does he have blonde eyebrows in this movie, and why is it so corny? We just didn't know. But I got to tell you, I can't think of many lines in the MCU that I think of more often of when I enjoy a good drink. I just want to smash the cup on the ground and go, another, Because that is such a great Thor moment. Natalie Portman, again, acting chops. Good Will Hunting dude there. What the hell's his name? How do I always forget his name? His son plays it. Stellan Skarsgård. This guy does a great job. I hadn't seen him in anything other than Good Will Hunting ever. So when I saw him pop up in Thor, I was like, hey, that's the guy from Good Will Hunting. Professor. And he plays another great professor. So it's like he played the role perfectly. And I like Darcy. I like that chick. What's her name? Kat Denning? I like Kat Denning. I think Darcy's a good, funny character. I honestly think Thor 1's fine. But it is corny. Anthony Hopkins? But you're not king! But you're not king! It's my favorite. Thor 1 has some of my favorite lines in the entire MCU. And it falls really low on this list just because it is corny. Ant-Man 1. I love Paul Rudd and all the credit to him, but Scott Lang is not my Ant-Man. I don't like Scott Lang as Ant-Man. I never did. I never liked Scott Lang's Ant-Man. For some people, especially kids nowadays, Spider-Man is Miles Morales. He's also Peter Parker sometimes, but he's Miles Morales. I don't gel with it. You know what I mean? I don't gel with it. I like Hank Pym Hank Pym for me is Ant-Man. So when I saw that Ant-Man was going to actually be Scott Lang and old man Hank, I was pissed. I went into the movie pissed. I didn't like it. I came out pissed. I was like, man, that sucked. I was happy that Kate from Lost, that's what I call her and everything she's in. I don't care if she's Toriel in The Hobbit or anything. She's just Kate, okay? Kate from Lost did a fantastic job as the Wasp. Ant-Man did a good job. They all did a great job. But the dude from House of Cards who played Yellow Jacket sucked. That guy is cringy bad in that role. Cringy bad. Hard to rewatch that movie. It doesn't stand up well. The comedy's there, but it's not a good movie. Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is a disaster. What's amazing is that even though you know, I did just rewatch this the other day, and I'm going to have to say that before I even discuss it, I will have to put Iron Man above Ant-Man. Because I think in retrospect, having had Robert Downey Jr. gone for a couple years now, I realize how important just having him in a role could make the movie. But outside of Robert Downey Jr., that movie's such shit show. Not even worth talking about. It's awful. The concept's awful. The idea that Tony's dad left him some message and it's all in the board and you got it. The whole thing sucked. Crap movie. Moving on to another crap movie that does make me laugh my ass off at a few lines. But other than that, I can barely remember it sometimes. Ant-Man 2. Holy God. How do you take a character like Ghost and mess it up that bad? Hated it. Hated the plot of having to go and rescue Janet Van Dyne. I hated everything about it. Lawrence Fishburne was bad. Everybody was bad. Nobody was good in the movie besides maybe Kate. Everybody was bad in the movie. It is an absolute terrible flick. And the only reason that I even like it a little bit is because of the Russian guy. The guy who plays the Russian dude from the first Ant-Man as well, when they are talking about Ghost, and they're all like, hey, and he says, Baba Yaga, and he tells the story about Baba Yaga, the witch who comes and takes the kids from the village, and then maybe about 40 minutes later when she shows up in the movie, and real quick she grabs the chest and like dips out, he starts like singing that song, Baba Yaga, come at night on the children's sleepy time. It is the funniest goddamn thing in either one of the Ant-Man movies. It is a beautifully funny concept. I appreciate comedy so much. Baba Yaga, gold. And that's the only reason the movie even gets like a pass from me. Ugh. And now we're into 3 of these movies that are just terrible. These are 3 movies that you'd never want to have to rewatch. These are movies that you wish you hadn't had to watch in the first place. Black Widow sucked. I hated that movie with a passion. The biggest tragedy for me, and I'm going to say this anytime somebody asks me, when you say to somebody, and I know that these things aren't going to make sense at first, but listen to me. If I tell somebody, watch Stranger Things, right? Because if the 4th season's good, it's going to be the best show of all time, right? That's my actual opinion. Because Game of Thrones fell apart, Sopranos fell apart, Lost fell apart, everything fell apart at the end. If Stranger Things can hold it together, it's the best show ever. When you tell people that, they go and they see it. Or they don't. And when they don't, how do you convince them to see it? One of the best ways, in my opinion, was always to say David Harbour. Watch it for David Harbour. Winona Ryder's super good. The kids are all super good. But watch it for David Harbour's performance because he's acting on the next level in this show. He is killing it as Hopper, right? Then you have people that'll say to you, you mean that guy who played the red Russian mean dude from Black Widow that was terrible? And you have to say, yes, that's the guy I'm talking about. The guy in Black Widow that sucked so terribly bad, that's the guy that I'm telling you to watch Stranger Things for. Not good. And I will curse here because we're 71 minutes in, is a fucking stain of tragedy on David Harbour, which sucks. Because not only was he perfect in SNL, he's been good in everything else I've seen him in, and Stranger Things, his SNL was hilarious. And you know how I feel about these guys who do drama, like the Adam Drivers of the world. And when these guys can come to SNL and really bring it, I have a whole nother level of respect for them. And then to see him delivering comedy the way that he was in Black Widow, I cringed the entire movie. I couldn't even watch it. There were parts I was just skipping because I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yelena is a badass, and she was, spoiler alert, for Black Widow, and I guess, what day is it? It's Thursday? You should watch Hawkeye. Well, no, you saw her. She was in last episode. So if you're 2 weeks behind on Hawkeye, you're going to get spoiled. Yelena is better in Hawkeye than she was in Black Widow. A lot better. And I think that they probably received the criticism. They wrote her a little bit. But in that movie, when I think Natasha Romanoff in Black Widows, I'm just like, badass, killer instinct, a little bit of snide humor here and there if it fits the situation. I'm not thinking like jokes. Like, why do you do the superhero landing? You know, you like whip the hell and you land like this. It's like, what are we talking about right now? This is a joke? I'm supposed to laugh at this? So anyway, I hated Black Widow. I'm just going to move on. Thor 2. This movie's a shit show, awful, bad movie. There's not a single good thing about it. Move on. Hulk. It's like the thing that we all pretend doesn't exist. Ed Norton was the Hulk back then. The MCU didn't exist back then. The only inclination that anything was going to happen was Tony Stark shows up in an end credit scene. And now the Abomination was in Shang-Chi. So it's just and of course General Ross has come back as Secretary Ross and it plays a much bigger part now. So they've tried their best to take little bits of the Hulk and try to make it as canon as possible. But holy God. That's a bad one. Tom, I agree with so much you say. Why I come back for over a year. Tell it. Oh, cool. Adam Driver with Bill Murray in that zombie movie was funny. I don't know that one. Pound that fist. Peaky Blinders. Have you watched, Tom? No. You just started watching Stranger Things, Anthony? Oh my God, it's my favorite show ever. Well, if it finishes good, it's the best show ever. And let's all admit, the odds that it finishes good are slim. That's a big show to wrap up, to try to put some pin note in and explain Stranger Things to me, the fan, for it to make sense. It's a big ticket. But if they can do that, oh my God, game over. Give them the seal of approval, send them on their way. You guys were the best ever. Congratulations. Duffer Brothers, congratulations. You beat out my boy J.J. Abrams with Lost, and Lindelhoff and Wise on the Game of Thrones, and them cats who made The Sopranos, names I always forget. All that jazz. Cut it. Stranger Things. Best show ever. I have to tell you guys, Spider-Man was absolutely bananas. I will see it again at some point next week, and I will not be surprised if I come out of the theater and I rank it higher than Infinity War. I will do myself the favor of rewatching Infinity War and Endgame. I will. But if I could have watched that Spider-Man again tonight, I would have done it. I was checking my phone, waiting for the post-credit scene. Like, is there any seat in this whole play? They were all sold out. The parking lot was the most full you've ever seen. People were dressed up. Like, it was so good to be back at the movies. I cannot wait to see how much money Spider-Man makes this weekend. I hope it makes just a stupid amount of money, and so that we can officially say that these kind of things are totally back. And Artist Point reopened. Oh my God. How the hell did we get into there? We'll have to talk to some friends. So it's a little longer than I wanted it to be, but it turned into a little bit of more of a big full review of all the MCU, just so you know where I stand. Just so you know I don't come out of the theater in tears and so excited and happy, and you're like, oh, it might be that good. Let you hear the rest of the MCU, where I fall as a comic book fan, give you a little bit more context to why I feel this way. And if you agreed with what I said, then I feel like you're going to come out of Spider-Man this week, whenever you see it, maybe this weekend, and you're going to be like, we're back, baby. MCU is back. Especially with Hawkeye. The Hawkeye Spider-Man combo this week has been mind-blowing. We kicked down two. I don't want to get into spoilers. I'm not going to get into spoilers. I'm going to shut up now. We'll talk about it later. When everybody has seen it, we'll do a more full, open chat about things and what it all means. Guys, I've got some Legos to build for the Advent calendar. I'm going to jump into that. So if you haven't checked out the Lego Advent calendars this year, we've been having a blast building those. I do that on the Instagram, which I am getting set up right now. Okay? Come hang out with me. Tomorrow I'll be live again. Obviously, I'm going to be doing some things. I'm not sure what, but we are going to Oga's. Well, I'm not going to be streaming any of that, but I'm going to Disney tomorrow night, so you can at least follow along in the stories. I'm going to go online and go talk a bunch of Spider-Man in the comment section of all these videos that I've been avoiding for the past 24 hours. All right, guys, I appreciate you all. Hope you have a fantastic night. Dun, 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 bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. What an awesome day. It's back, baby. The MCU is back. See you guys tomorrow.